Welcome, everybody, to the Hashtag Sports Postgame Show. I am Paul. We are absent Mario tonight, but we are with Ryan over here. Am I doing this correctly?
Yep, you got
it.
it.
Okay, there we go. So I'll be honest with you, right? Tough game to watch. Buffalo loses by 10 to the Atlanta Falcons, 24-14, dropping Buffalo to 4-2 in a game that they simply were just never in. Like, never at any point in this game was I like, oh, yeah, Buffalo's in control. Brian and I have, I'm sure, some very choice words to say about this. And, hey, this is the way the cookie crumbles in the NFL. It's why you play 17 games. But I think this is, I mean, we've been barking on this channel for a little bit of time here that you got to look at opportunities for change. Ryan, I feel like we're there, right? Like, I think this is the second game in a row. Team's leading receiver, 10 receptions, over 150 yards on you. You had 11 defensive backs active for today's game. We're getting to absurd levels of I don't know-isms, right? Like, you went against a team that I personally think this was exactly the type of game Atlanta was going to play against you. And if you're like, well, that defense, like, you couldn't stop the pass rush. Well, that's what it looks like when you have a defensive head coach sometimes, right? Right? Like, is that what it looks like when you have a defensive head coach? You have a really aggressive defense and an offense that just clings to life, right? Like, Buffalo had opportunities all game, but Ryan, tell me what you saw and let's get into it, man.
Yeah, I mean, this was about as bad. I mean, this was like Baltimore Ravens last year level. We talked about that like right before we went on stream, right? And this was an organizational, like, top-down failure, right? Like, Sean McDermott. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about him. You know, I love to talk about Sean McDermott. Like, didn't have the team ready to play. They came out, penalties galore. The defense gets thrashed on the first drive down the field. Babbage, this 335 yards. Like, 335 yards in the first half. Like, that cannot happen. Like, that is like someone needs to lose their job at halftime bad. Like, that's how bad 335 yards in the first half is. I mean, for context, for those, like, they only had 443 yards in the entire game.
Yeah.
And they had 335 in the first half, right? And, like, then offensively, what I struggle with offensively and kind of where I'm going with this McDermott thing and try to follow the breadcrumbs with me, because you and I both work in, like, actual jobs, right? Like corporate America jobs, right? I'm starting to sense a lack of, I don't know if it's respect or lack of follow through when it comes from things that McDermott says versus what we see on the field.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he talked last week and we heard it ad nauseum from the New England game. Like, we can't get cute with the play calling. We got to stop being cute. What do they do this week, Paul? They get cute with the play calling.
Oh, my God.
The message isn't getting delivered.
Real quick, let's talk about, to me, the most egregious play call of all night. What do you think it was, Ryan? Most egregious play call of all night. A first down you had to have, right?
Yeah.
It's
3rd and 1.
Yeah, it's the reverse to Elijah Moore, right? And that's a bad handoff by Josh.
Your quarterback is 6'5", 250 pounds.
Right.
And they hand the ball to Elijah Moore. Like, I'm an Elijah Moore fan.
Oh, yeah.
I think he brings a different dynamic to this team that they're not using. But, oh, my God. Like, James Cook is running for 5 yards a clip. Josh Allen is a centaur. What are we doing on 3rd and 1?
Yeah.
Like, there is no one who should touch the football on 3rd and 1 other than Josh Allen, James Cook. That's it. End of story. Sign it, stamp it, mail it wherever you need to mail it. So clearly the message isn't getting home, right? Like, so from an organizational management perspective, from a Sean McDermott perspective, like, you are at risk of losing your locker room if you are not getting your coaches on board with whatever message you're trying to send. And the message he sent last week, loud and clear, we got to stop getting cute, because that's what led to the Dawson Knox fumble last week that arguably cost you the football game. It was earlier in the game to make up for it, and then you do it again this week. And it's not like it's a different situation. It's not like it's the same play, different guy you're handing the ball to, and it's like, you got to have it down. So, I mean, that in and of itself, I think, is a microcosm of what this team is doing under McDermott. Not to mention, You're down 14. It's 4th and 3. You're at your own 47-yard line and you punt. Like,
You got to go.
What are we doing? What is going on with this? And it's just year after year after year that we're watching this guy, and it's 13 seconds, and it's too many men on the field, and then it's not enough men on the field, and then it's like rinse and repeat this nonsense with this guy where for whatever reason he can't put good game after good game after good game and get better as he goes on. He makes bad decisions. He's not learning from his mistakes. Now, like, his defense is in shambles. His offense has no identity whatsoever. And he's got no answers other than clapping after his quarterback throws an interception. Like, it's just mind-boggling that we're still sitting here watching this guy ruin one of the best quarterbacks I've ever personally, with my own 2 eyes, watched play football.
And I want to thank Jack for the super chat. Thank you, Jack. Bean or McDermott, who's the culprit? The world will never know. Well, the fact of the matter is neither of them are going to throw the other under the bus, right? Like,
and both can be true. Like, you can make a solid case that both can be true, right? Like, go down the list of 1st and 2nd round draft picks that Bean's made, right? McDermott's not making those picks. McDermott has input. We know who's making the picks, right?
Right.
You see the inability or unwillingness to make a trade mid-season. Again, is the GM asking the coach? I'm sure he is, but I can't imagine. And it's professional malpractice if it's happening. I can't imagine that if Bean goes to McDermott and goes, "Hey, want me to go get you a wide receiver?" That McDermott's not going to go, "Nah, we're good." Right? Like, he's going to go say, "Shake the trees, figure out what you can do. If you can make a deal, right?"
Right.
Like, so I think both can be true to answer that question. Like, McDermott on the field is a problem. Bean, from a personnel perspective, is a problem. And no more glaring has that been than this season. Right? Because Max Harrison's on IR, TJ Sanders is on IR, and then the guys that you re-up have not gotten better. And they're not contributing on this defense right now. Benford is invisible. Terrell Bernard, is starting to get banged up and starting to play like a smaller middle linebacker like Matt Milano. Right? Rousseau is invisible.
Well, and then you have invisible linebackers behind him, right? Don't get me wrong. I like Dorian Williams, but I mean, Dorian Williams doesn't start for most NFL teams. Let's be honest about it, right? Dorian Williams probably isn't starting for most NFL teams. And what does Buffalo do to try and hide their secondary? They play 3 linebackers most of the day, right? Like, come on. So I do want to point this out because you brought this up. So I'm going to go to Shivas here. It says, can we sign a random guy from another team's practice squad? That's always on. That's always available to you. You can sign a player from another team's practice squad at any time. But they have to be signed to your active roster. So you have to have an available roster space for him. So like an example, you lose Josh Palmer, you can either bring up a guy from your practice squad and sign him to your roster, or you can sign a player from another team's practice squad, but he has to be on your 53-man roster. So that's how that works. You can do that at any moment. You could address
your team. They have the roster space right now.
And they do have the roster space right now.
Because they did pull Jordan Poyer up from the practice squad. The name that I heard floated, Paul, and again, I mean, people have to keep in mind, right? Like, where we're at in the season, like, there's not a ton of like untapped talent out there. But the one name that I did hear, Paul, is CJ Gardner-Johnson is sitting on the practice squad of the Ravens right now, and like he's probably an upgrade for you at safety over whatever Jordan Poyer is going to give you. So I mean, that's
well, his issue has always been culture. Like, let's just be honest, right? The issue with him, as most NFL teams see it, is he's a culture problem for teams. Right. And
he's
really
by all accounts,
gets in trouble.
If you listen to McDermott, like, culture is not an issue here, right? So you should be able to bring a guy like that into the fold.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
That's all we've heard is culture, right? That's why in a game like this that you can define in week 6 as must win as it can get, you're playing Jordan Phillips and Jordan Poyer because they're culture guys. And you brought them in at 30 whatever years old they are, like, and then Jordan Phillips, of course, does the most Jordan Phillips thing in the world and jumps off sides on a 4th and 1.
I know. And that was another thing, right? If you go back and look, when you look at first downs by penalty, right? The Falcons, had 3 first downs by penalty. Each one of them was wildly costly. There was not a single first down that you gave up via penalty that didn't instantaneously cost you. Instantaneous. Like, it was instant karma for that. I want to send our condolences to Paul Berg. Homeboy was at the game. So my condolences,
geez.
Paul. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm
At least you
so
get cheap
sorry you were there.
concessions, man. Like,
well, yeah, but you're not getting Chick-fil-A.
that's
You get
true.
Chick-fil-A, but you can't get it.
They'll be open tonight. It's a Monday.
Oh, that's right. This is the only game you can get Chick-fil-A.
The only game you can get Chick-fil-A.
The only game you
what
can
a game
get
to pick.
Save that cup.
There's a bright spot to every cloud.
Yeah,
right?
right. Save the cup. It's the only Chick-fil-A NFL game you get this year in Atlanta. So I think the name of the game, JC brings up a good point here, is the blitz, right? So why was Buffalo having such a problem with the pass rush of Atlanta? They do bring a lot of heat. That's a Raheem Morris sort of thing. Like, he brings heat. That's what he does. That's what got him in trouble in Tampa, if I do so recall. But here he just brings a lot of heat. Why was Buffalo struggling to be able to counter that? And is that one of the reasons why you see James Cook snap count again below premier back level?
Yeah, I mean, well, so here's the issue, right? Here's another frustration point for me. Like, you knew what they were going to do defensively, right? Like, this is a Raheem Morris defense. They are the highest blitzing team in the league through the first 4 weeks of the season, and I say the first 4 because they had a bye last week. So they blitz at the high. I think they were blitzing at like a 44% clip. Tonight they blitzed. I think I saw a 56% clip, which is the highest that Josh has seen since 2021. So they brought a ton of heat. The issue was that from an offensive play calling perspective, they weren't calling blitz beaters, right? Like, they weren't calling these blitz beater plays that you largely would see offensive coordinators go to. So between Brady not calling them and then Josh not checking into them, like, you didn't see slants, you didn't see drags, you didn't see the snap screens that we've seen so frequently this season. You didn't even really see them run the ball a whole heck of a lot against blitzes. Like, they didn't call any blitz beater runs. They tried to run one screen pass. I think it was Ty Johnson who just ran like right into his blockers at one point. But so ultimately, it's kind of twofold. One, for whatever reason, Josh wasn't diagnosing where the blitz was coming from pre-snap, which was an issue. And it's not out of the ordinary for that with a Raheem Morris defense, because they like to disguise where they're coming from, right? They'll show left, they'll come right, they'll show right, and they'll go overload right, which is a little bit different of a slide on your offensive line. But then from a play calling perspective, you're still calling 5-step drops, 7-step drops, long developing routes downfield, trying to beat man-to-man coverage. When in reality, if you just drag Elijah Moore across the middle of the field from left to right, away from the blitz, like, that's going to be open 9 times out of 10. He might only get 6 or 7 yards, but 6 or 7 yards, all the way down the field equals a touchdown.
Well, that's what Buffalo did when they decided to run the football at the start of the second half. They'd walk their way down the field, and then wouldn't you know it, once things started getting tight again, what did Buffalo do? You start abandoning the run. You go 3 and out again. It was just
they didn't do a lot of pre-snap motion, which is a problem, right? Like, and the thing with Buffalo is you have to realize from Brady's perspective as an offensive coordinator, if they're blitzing, it means they're running man behind it. You got to have plays that you guys can get open. And at the end of the day, when it comes to, like, we saw it in the run game, Brady got to the point at the beginning of the second half where he was just like, my guys are better than your guys. We're just going to line it up and go.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that in the passing game, because this team does not have the receivers that can go win their one-to-one matchups. Like, Coleman gets taken away, Shavers gets taken away, and then you're left with Shakir as the only guy who can win his one-on-one matchups. Well, just double. Well,
because Palmer was on the sideline. Not that Josh Palmer is, a world beater at receiver, but given your options, he's among your
pretty
better
good early
players.
in the game until he got hurt.
Well, he was your leading receiver, 2 receptions for 60 yards.
Yeah, and
unacceptable to me.
I mean, we can go back to the Bean conversation around Coleman, right? Like, Coleman's got to go, man. Like, you got to do something with this kid. And I don't know if his draft stock is to the point where you could package him up and along with a 1 or a 2 and go get, I threw it out last week, like DJ Moore. Like, DJ Moore in Chicago, by and large, has not. They can get rid of a guy like that, right? They've got a Dunze, they've got Jennings, they've got guys that they can throw the football to. They don't need a contracted DJ Moore going forward. So, like, that would be an interesting look for me. Sounds like AJ Brown's unmovable. He's got like $50 million guaranteed, I think, left on his deal. So that's probably an unmovable contract. But But right now is probably the time if you've identified that Coleman's not the guy, and Josh doesn't trust him. You can tell on the field that Josh doesn't trust him because he doesn't look at him in big moments. So now is the time to move a kid like that before his draft stock just tanks, and then you wind up with a Kyer Elam on your hands, and you just can't move him at all.
Yeah. Well, you know,
but you did move him, right?
You did move him, but for nowhere near the return. You know, I look at it this way, and maybe I'm looking at this probably a little too deep. I don't look at this as a problem with the players on the field. I really look at this as a pro personnel problem.
Yeah,
right. I don't think you scouted this game well at all. I don't think you were prepared at all. I don't think your roster was ready for this game. I don't think you prepped well for this at all. And I don't necessarily put that on the coordinators because the coordinators don't always get choice in hiring their own staff. I think some folks in pro personnel, this has to be their last day. You cannot walk in and give up 10 receptions for 150 plus yards back to back and say, well, listen, we were trying out there. Like the fact that I saw Ingram chasing after Bijan after getting a run block from a receiver I'd never heard of and couldn't get off it to stop Bijan. That's inexcusable to me, right? Yeah. That is them guessing at corner. They have no idea where they are. No idea. And, you know, like you can't dress 11 corners. Like, what do we do? You're dressing 11 defensive backs. Like, what are we
you still
doing
don't have
here?
one that can run cover too, right?
No.
Like that play where Trey White was just lost back there. And it led to there was the Bosa hit, right? The Bosa pressure and hit. They got a good shot on Penix, and Bijan was just wide open. Like that's a cover two, like that's base cover two. You learned that in high school.
He thought Shaq was going to pick him up. He thought Shaq was picking that guy up.
So again, I think that, like you said, I mean that goes back to like the pro
personnel
department, right? Because why does Trey White in a cover two think that the linebacker is going to run with the wide receiver or the running back? Like that's not how that scheme works. So Babbage, you know, again, like you said, I mean, Babbage called the play, right? But is it Babbage's fault that Trey didn't execute on the field? No. Like you can't play for these guys, right?
Right.
So you do have to figure out what's the issue. Like who was the one that thought that Trey was enough behind Hairston?
That's what I'm saying.
Now Hairston's down, and now what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's that level of stuff is unacceptable. You got to start taking people's jobs away. Andy says, once again, Cook was underutilized. We need to trade for a number one receiver. The everyone eats plan is 2024. Well, everyone eats seems to be the defensive philosophy this year because they certainly don't mind handing out yards to the opposing offenses. Michael Penix got pretty lucky today. Buffalo tipped a lot of balls, right? Like I think, who was it? Was it Rousseau or Epinesa or somebody tipped a ball? And I mean, the ball absolutely tumbled and Bijan still caught it.
Yeah, it was Epinesa got his hand on that one.
Yeah. Like that ball was absolutely like in slow motion. You look at it, you go, oh yeah, that's not a complete pass. It still went right to Bijan with absolutely no hesitation. You block the kick from Rousseau. You've got a 3-and-out that follows that. Josh late in the game, the interception. Josh had time, but he had been so beaten throughout the course of that game. He had absolutely no faith his offensive line could hold up. David Edwards at guard. Please, somebody find a knife and stab me in the eye. I can't watch David Edwards at guard anymore this year. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I know they put him next to Dawkins to say, hey, listen, maybe this will work. I can't watch this anymore. Right? Like I just can't do it.
I mean, and look, like the other issue at this point is like the everybody eats philosophy assumes that guys can get open, right? And they do not have personnel that can get open right now. Like they don't have anybody out there that can get open, and that shows in the drive chart. Like Paul, we talked about this like before we went live, right? Like you go through the play by play, and you look at the second half. Buffalo goes right down the field, 9 plays, 73 yards. And they score a touchdown. They make it look easy, right? It's like, okay, whatever. They made halftime adjustments. Back in the game. Here we go, right? Defense is going to get a stop. Defense gets a stop. Buffalo then goes 8 plays, 34 yards, and they wind up not getting the fourth down, but still not across the 40 or across the 50-yard line. Then you get a blocked punt. Again, 3 and out, you punt. You get another punt, 3 and out, you punt. And then, so from the first drive of the second half, you go all the way down the field and you score. From that point forward until the last drive of the game, when you're down 2 scores, you don't cross the 50-yard line. Like that is in and of itself an issue. And, you know, you can talk about the defense all you want, right? The defense is a problem, but we go back to both things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
This offense is a problem. And Josh doesn't get off the hook on it because Josh missed some throws, right? Like, we can talk about the whys. We can talk about the headspace thing. We can talk about he doesn't trust his receivers. We can talk about he's got so much going on because his offensive coordinator is ineffective, which means he's got to do so much more on the field because he's not getting calls in that he can run. Like, all of that becomes true, right? But at the end of the day, he had passes out there that he left out there that he didn't hit. And those are plays that he hit last year that, you know, kind of turned into wins. So this offense is an issue. And I don't know what the solution is because I'm not sure that they can just go out and get a guy that fixes that because wide receiver ones don't grow on trees. And even if they were to get a wide receiver one, like, I'm not convinced that Brady would use him the right way. I'm not convinced that he would see 14 targets, right? Like we saw with Drake, like we talk about like, well, what does a number one wide receiver do for you? Okay, well, they've had back-to-back games where they've
against guys who are one.
Double-digit catches and triple-digit yardage against legit wide receiver ones, right? Like that's what those guys do for you. Yeah. In a pinch, you gotta, you know, I know I can throw 16 times to Drake London because he's gonna catch 10 balls for 158 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, that'd be nice to have right now.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the other side of it, right, is you go and you look and you say, you know, from a schematic perspective, right? Where does Buffalo, like, what's the easiest thing to fix, right? Like, every team's got lots of wide receivers. I've got a problem with the pass protection right now, right? I got a big problem with pass protection. I don't think that solves your wide receiver problem, though, right? To your point. I just don't think it does.
No, and I'll be honest with you, Paul. I mean, outside of, and I know we're getting sensationalizing with this kind of stuff. The solution is you go get another offensive coordinator. Like, that's the solution here. Like, you have to go get a guy that can scheme guys open and that's willing to scheme guys open. Because for whatever reason, Joe Brady cannot consistently scheme guys open. Like, he seems to figure it out. Defenses adjust, and he doesn't adjust to the adjustments, right? Like, he doesn't take that next step. I don't know if there's a guy on the team. I don't know enough about the coaching staff to know if there's a guy on the team that could step in that situation. But, like, there's guys out there, right? There's guys out there that can call plays. Like, you know, Mike McDaniel came from somewhere. Like there's got to be a guy out there that is the next up-and-coming offensive coordinator that would love to call plays for Josh Allen. And you know, and I say this because there's teams all over the NFL that don't have wide receivers that manage to get guys open, right? Like San Francisco does it all the time. Like Kyle Shanahan's been getting nobody's open for, you know, going on 2 decades now in the NFL. Like we're watching it right now in this Washington Commanders game. Like Terry McLaurin's out. They got to hobble Deebo Samuel, and guys are still running wide open down the field. Like this isn't something that's foreign. Like this is an offensive time. Like this is an offensive league that we play in now. Outside of fixing the offensive coordinator, I don't know that there's something you can do with this offense that will make it better.
So interestingly enough, I think JC's comment here is please no more internal hires. I think the root of what he's saying is that the answer isn't in the building, so stop pretending that it is, right? It's like bringing in guys who you've had already or re-signing your own. Sometimes the answer is not already in the building. You need that outside perspective. You know, I know professionally there's been times where I've left a company and gone into another company within the same industry, and you bring a fresh perspective that's really refreshing to the company that you're coming into, right? Because you're carrying over that experience. Let's just look at what Atlanta did. That was a big change for them, right? They lost 30-0 to the Panthers, and they fired their wide receivers coach, fired Ike Hilliard. And what they did was they moved their offensive coordinator out of the booth. TJ Yates. He's on the sideline now. Haven't lost a game since. Yep. Right? You have to respond. And you can't respond when, you know, you're 6 weeks away from the playoffs. Right? Like you can't do that. You got to respond now. You've dropped 2 games in a row. There's a reason you're dropping games. And I think there's a point where you can look at Babbage and say that it's Babbage. Again, I'm not going to specifically blame Babbage. I do think there's a bit of a talent issue here. But every player on this team is safe. Like, I'm going to liken this to baseball, right? Because I'm a Yankees fan, and the last couple seasons have been really difficult watching the Yankees go get aging players on menial contracts, right? And say, look, we're addressing the problem. Look at the name on the back of the jersey. Isn't this great? And you're like, well, it's not 2017 anymore. Like, it's 2025. I'm not excited about this player. Like, you go out and get Joey Bosa. Okay. Right. Yeah. Sure. You know, like, and I know people might be snake bit because you went out and you took a big swing at Von Miller. At the time, that move made a ton of sense, but you knew the risk that was going into it because you were getting a player who had already had multiple issues, multiple health issues prior to a season. He became this big player in the playoffs, right? Yeah. It was the playoffs that got him that contract. Prior to that, his season wasn't amazing, but the playoffs there were the reason all of a sudden he was back on the radar. Right now, he's the biggest free agent in the market, and you just look at signing Bosa, Trey White. You sign these very safe players, then you look around and you got a room of the same guy. Like, I understand that it makes sense when you're looking to, you know, sub in guys. You want guys of similar skill sets, but it doesn't make you dynamic. This team isn't dynamic in any way. And I mean that. If you look at the running back room, you can say James Cook is dynamic. The room as a whole is not. You can look at wide receiver, not dynamic. You can look at the offensive line, not dynamic. You look at the defensive backs, the linebacker group. There's not a single position besides quarterback that's dynamic. And that one's kneecapped because all the other positions are not dynamic. You don't have, though, a big play guy anywhere on this team. Anywhere. Yeah. And you've paid some guys internally, like Rousseau's getting paid to be an impact guy. His biggest play on defense is he blocked the kick. Yeah. And he blocked
one
the kick.
Pressure on defense today. Yeah, and I think, I think it is worth noting, like, the Von Miller thing worked until he got hurt, right? Like, the Bosa thing's not working. Like, Von had 8 sacks through 11 games before he got hurt. Like, that's
what I mean. It made a lot of sense.
Wanted him to do. Yeah. So, like, I agree with you. Like, I think overall, like, when you have the issue of going and getting players is exacerbated when you've got poor coaching, because when you've got poor coaching, you've got guys who aren't great at their job asking for players that they think will fit their scheme, right? Like, McDermott's been asking for defensive players for the last 9 seasons.
Yeah. And he gets them in the draft every year, dude. Every year.
Right. That's what we hear, right? That we hear that, like, Josh is fine. The offense is fine. We're going to address the defense. And this is what you trot out there, 335 yards at halftime. Like, you know, it goes back. McDermott is the top of the issue. Like top down. Like, this is a top down organizational issue. And so Lightning just asked, can we fire Babbage ASAP? Like, don't forget, guys, like, the next defensive coordinator that Sean McDermott fires will be the first defensive coordinator that Sean McDermott has fired 100% since he started playing at Buffalo.
Yeah,
right?
He's never done it. Like, he shoved Frazier in a box. Let's just remember the end of Leslie Frazier's
Frazier left.
Frazier quit. Yeah, he asked to be let go. He quit because he couldn't take, like, he was the scapegoat. Every week there was a problem. And wouldn't you love to have Leslie Frazier back right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's like if McDermott could set aside his pride, right? Like, set aside his pride and realize, like, you know, Andy Reid went out and got Spagnuolo. Like,
not an Andy Reid guy at all, right? Like,
no, not an Andy Reid guy at all. Like Kyle Shanahan went and hired Robert Saleh. Like, these guys all the time are like, for the good of the team. Is this dude another alpha? Is this guy gunning for my job? Absolutely. Every coordinator on the planet Earth is gunning for the head coaching job. There's only 32 of them in the entire world, right? Like, Babbage is gunning for McDermott's job. So what McDermott does is, instead of going and getting guys that, they're gunning for my job, they're really good at their job, but they're going to help me win, which will help me keep my job, he just hires guys that are going to be loyal to him, or hires guys that are going to let him take over play calling when he thinks he needs to take over play calling. They'll run his scheme without asking questions. The defense is struggling, so they're going to run the football 15 times to keep the defense fresh, right, and give his guys a break. Like, he keeps these guys in these positions, not because they're good at what they do necessarily, but because they will toe the line and they will follow what McDermott wants them to do. And therein lies the issue. A whole other thing that I've done with Drew on Rockwire Report multiple times is where this comes from is the fact that I think you have an absentee owner who doesn't actually care, which is another whole other problem for this franchise. But like
this isn't a show about the Sabres.
we're not going to talk about that, right? Like we can talk about like what the Sabres look like and like what that means for Buffalo and the fact that they've kind of lucked into the success that McDermott did contribute to this football team, a unicorn at quarterback, like all of these things, right? Like the Sabres didn't luck into. But by and large, until something's done with McDermott at the top, I've been saying this since 13 seconds. Until something's done with McDermott at the top, this team is not going to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
He is not a coach that can win a Super Bowl. Period. Point blank. End of story. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. I will, whatever, streak down my road, buck naked if I'm wrong about Sean McDermott. But like, I've seen nothing from him in the 9 seasons he's been the head coach that indicates to me that he can win in a big moment.
Yeah,
because if he can, feel free to point to me when it's happened.
So I want to back up a little bit, right? So we're going to talk about being in McDermott, right? Because that's a relationship that maturates over time. It is not usual that you get a head coach and a GM so tied to the hip, right? But they are very, very, very tied to the hip. And if you go back and you say, well, 2018 was a great class. You had Josh, you had Tremaine, you had Harrison Phillips, you had Teron Johnson. I do want to point out that, again, you had a team that wasn't particularly good, right? So anything was better than what was here. I'm not going to downplay their contributions. You followed up with Ed Oliver, Cody Ford, Devin Singletary, and Dawson Knox, right? It was that draft. It doesn't get better from here, though, right? You get AJ Epinesa, Zach Moss, Gabe Davis, then Rousseau, Basham, Spencer Brown, Khair Elam, James Cook, Terrell Bernard, and Shakir. Like, there's actually an argument that outside of the Josh draft, the 2022 draft was being a McDermott's best. But even just the last 2 years, you were without Kincaid today. I will be honest with you. I don't think that impacts the game at all. And, like the last 2 drafts, man, you're just struggling to make an impact, right? You're just struggling to make an impact. And Deion Walker might have been your best defensive player today.
He was absolutely the best defensive player. He was the lone bright spot on defense today.
That's what I mean. Like, you're talking about a 4th-round defensive tackle who's got how many games on his belt right now? You know what I mean? Like, how is that the bright spot? We do have to go to Jack here. It also seems Bean pays middling guys money like they're still in the drought. Yeah, and again, like, unfortunately, I think Mario has said this in the past. He goes, if you have 3 2s, you still have no 1s, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you pay guys who are ultimately good enough to start, but they're just starters, like, just because you graduate medical school you graduate medical school, you're called a doctor, right? But just because you graduated medical school doesn't mean you're a good doctor. It just means you are a doctor. Right? To be a starter in the NFL, there's very few jobs, but also there's context around that. There's salary cap. There is, the free agency pool, injuries. There's a lot of context around what it takes to be a starter inside the NFL. And unfortunately, it just feels like right now we have a lot of guys who are good enough to be starters, but there's a vast number of guys on the offense and defense who are starters due to the context around how they got to Buffalo first. And that to me is where the challenge is, because I just want to watch somebody take over a game on either side of the ball. I just want to watch somebody take over a game. I don't see that. I remember watching Milano take over a game, but that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and you're still paying the guy and he's going to be on the sideline for you again. Like it's so frustrating to watch us continue to chase our tail when there's no accountability in the building. I honestly do not believe that there's actual accountability. I think McDermott's going to be mad. He's going to storm around. He's going to make a scene. And then, there's a lot of these things that are his responsibility. And I just don't ever feel like there's real accountability here, ever.
No. And I think the way they came to play tonight indicates that, and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, right? Like, there's an issue, like, there's a common denominator to this problem. Right? For the last 9 seasons, this team has wilted in big games, They've wilted when they've gone up against physical opponents. They've shrunk when good coaching is up against them. And there's one common denominator that has been here throughout the entire thing. You've got a coach that still doesn't know how to use timeouts, still doesn't understand situational football, like still punts when he's supposed to go, still tries to score a touchdown when he should be kicking a field goal at the end of a game to try to maximize your time.
Mm-hmm.
He says these things externally because he's supposed to say them.
Yeah.
And then he's either not saying them with the same intensity or people aren't listening to him. Both of them result in the same issue. Someone's got to go, right?
Yeah.
Like Joe Brady, we got to stop getting cute after last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets cute again this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if I'm a boss, I have a bunch of people that report to me at work. And if I tell somebody not to do something and they do it anyway,
mm-hmm.
like there's consequences to that.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
yeah.
From a defensive perspective, like your team came out and were listless and feckless and all of the things last week against New England.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out and you give up 335 yards in the first half the next week.
Right.
So either the message isn't getting said the way he's saying it in press conferences, or no one's listening to him. And
mm-hmm.
those are two completely different issues, but not any less severe either one. Like,
right.
You got to fix it. And you got to fix it fast, because you've got a quarterback who's already won an MVP, who's a unicorn, who's, again, a top 3 quarterback in the league right now, a top 15 quarterback at this point in his career in history, and he's getting ready to turn 30, and he hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet. And now you start to wonder, is the window going to close quick? Because we're watching what happens when windows close quick. Like, I think we might be watching Baltimore's window close, because I can't imagine Harbaugh survives this season if they don't make the playoffs. Like, this happens fast. Like, life comes at you quick in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
And if Buffalo doesn't right the ship here, Josh is only going to stay content for so long before he he wants to ask out. He wants to go, find other places to play. Like, he starts to get noisy. And then you've got a whole other ball of issues on your hands at that point.
Yeah, so I want to just call out real quick, because I had mentioned this before. Pass game specialist and game management is Mark Lubbock. We've actually talked about Mark on hashtag in the past. He was sort of to us in the early stages of McDermott, because he was here right when McDermott got here. He was early in his career, I think, really influential, like sort of like a really important silent piece while McDermott was getting his legs beneath him and through early parts of Josh's development. But the fact of the matter is, passing game specialist, game management, like, I think the last 2 games are just obvious that if there's going to be a name, maybe that's when you want to pay attention to. He's been here since McDermott got here, so I don't think anything's going to happen, because I just simply don't believe McDermott has the balls to fire somebody in his staff. He'll see that as failure, right? Like, I don't see it that way. Like, who was the Ravens fired their offensive coordinator 6 weeks before the playoff and won a Super Bowl? Like, these things happen. Right? You have to do something. But, like, I could go through and name your defensive assistants and, offensive quality control guys, and a lot of them will be names that you're not familiar with. But you got to be able to, and unfortunately, a lot of them look a lot younger than me, which is crazy, really, when you think about it. Like, I'm looking at some of these guys, I was like, man, some of these guys don't even look like they're in their 30s yet. And I think that's, again, part of the problem is there's just no huevos here, right?
Yeah,
like,
and
you have no marbles.
We talked a little bit about, like, if they decide to make the move on Brady, right? Like, if Josh starts to get upset, Josh goes to McDermott and says something's got to give here, offensive coordinator wise. Like, Brady's the ultimate vibe guy, but vibes only go so far, right? Like, the only guy internally that I could think of potentially being an option is Kyle Shermer. Like, he's the only guy on the coaching staff that I think is probably worth a look. And I say that because of who his dad is. Like, his dad was a pretty damn good offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Like, I can't imagine that falls too far from the tree. He was a quarterback in college. Like, he played for Andy Reid in Kansas City. Like, he's got all the things, right? He's got all the things of a young up and coming offensive coordinator potentially in the wings. I don't know. I don't know if this is an opportunity to do it. I don't know how many more weeks you need to see of ineffective offense, because
It's the bye week. You're walking into the
bye
bye week
to
here.
make the change, right? I mean, you've scored 34 points in your last 2 games. Like, that's a problem. At the end of the day, when Josh Allen is your quarterback, like, that can't be the offensive production that you're putting out there.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I think what ends up happening though is, remember when Dable was in trouble, what did they do? They took the snacks away from him, pulled him down onto the field, right? Like, that was step one, and eventually he earned the ability to go back into the box, right? Like, there's been a proven process to this. Now, mind you, right, the Bills have gone through quite a few offensive coordinators.
Well, they made a big thing about the Atlanta offensive coordinator being down on the sidelines this week.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was the thing during the broadcast.
Yeah, it's a thing. So that's what I mean. Like, there's a process to this. And, if we've learned anything, there's a process. Yeah, trust the process. But, if I'm looking at, Shermer seems to be the one that would be the least disruptive, because he's already offensive quality control coach.
Yeah.
If you're looking at somebody on the staff, the only other one that I know of that has any real offensive coordinator experience is Cromer. And I just can't believe that you're going to pull him off the offensive line coach position to be your offensive coordinator. Like, I don't imagine a world where that happens.
What kind of offense are we talking about at that point in time, too?
Right.
Like, this isn't a team with Derrick Henry at running back and 5 studs across the offensive line.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if you had, let's just say for a moment, let's get a little crazy. Let's just say that you could hire one person. You fire Babbage, right? Let's just say McDermott says, you know what, Bobby, you're the problem. I'm going to take my hands off the wheel. God's telling me that I'm just going to take my hands off the wheel with the defense. I'm going to bring somebody in. We're just going to use their voice for the rest of the season. Who is the one Hail Mary, sink or swim, my job's on the line defensive coordinator that you bring in?
The issue is a lot of them are already, like, on teams right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I understand the difficulty of the question.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
I don't know, like Mike Zimmer, what's he doing? Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, like, defensive coaches that are like, defense is their thing, and if Sean McDermott's willing to be like, just go run your defense, like, is it like Jim Schwartz? Like, he's still in Cleveland, right? So he's not going anywhere.
So I have a name for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is a complete clash. There in no way this would, in no universe, in no timeline of the multiverse does this exist. But Greg Williams is coaching college football. But the thing about Greg Williams was his defenses, they just played angry all the time. He covered up talent with aggressiveness, right? Pettin wasn't really all that much different, I suppose, in that respect. Not that I want to bring back old coaches, right? I'm really not interested in that. But it is a name that I think most people would be familiar with. And I think, again, in a world like the Saints, when he was defensive coordinator for the Saints, he and the head coach did not talk. He was in charge of the defense. That was it. He ran the defense. And, it's just fascinating how quickly things change, because Buffalo's got problems on both sides of the football. I don't know how you address either of them, but walking into the bye week, you got to do something.
Yeah, an interesting name from an offensive perspective. Like, Brian Callahan just got fired. If you want to bring in an offensive coordinator that has done it and has done it at a high level, like, that Bengals offense was really, really good when Joe Burrow was healthy, and that was Callahan.
Yeah, he got fired because they needed to fire somebody. Now, mind you, they could hire him for any reason. He doesn't have to be anything. He could be brought into a role they made up. Like, that's the thing about the NFL that I think sometimes fans forget, is that there's no rules when it comes to your offensive staff.
Right.
There's no set number. There's no set positions that every team has to fill. Right.
But to your point, Paul, like, do you send a message like Mark Lubick is gone? Like, the passing game is not where it needs to be. Josh isn't where he needs to be. Like, here's our guy that we're going to, throw at the deity and hope that it changes things. And we're going to bring Brian Callahan in as our passing game coordinator going forward. Like, okay. You know, and then you add some pressure to Brady because now there's a guy in the building that's all of a sudden learning your playbook and learning what Josh does well, and he's been successful doing it. And it's like, okay, man, like you're on a short leash now. And McDermott can have that messaging and he can say it directly to Joe Brady. Like, Joe, you know why I brought this guy in. Like, let's not beat around the bush. He's not here to help you. Like, he's here to help in the capacity of he's helping the team. But his job is to be there in case you can't cut it and we need to make a move.
Well, I mean, how far have we come with Joe Brady? Like, I remember when Brady was hired, Brady was among several former offensive coordinators on staff because you had Mike Shula here.
Yeah, Shula
he was former offensive coordinator. You had hired Cromer, former offensive coordinator. Like there was a bunch of former offensive coordinators on Dable's staff. Or on Dorsey. No, it was Dorsey's staff.
It was Dorsey's staff.
It was Dorsey's staff. There were multiple offensive coordinators there. And now you have Aaron Cromer, I think, is the only actual former offensive coordinator. And I mean, we're talking a different game of football. Like when he was an offensive coordinator, the game was quite different.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Like it's not the same. As good an offensive line coach as he is, the game is quite different from the last time he was responsible for calling plays in the NFL. But the point still remains: like there's no they've removed that guardrail, right, for Brady. Because I think after last year, you look at it and say, hey, maybe we don't need it anymore, right? Looks like this is all going to work. Start building your staff. We'll give you a little bit more control here. Other side of that is, remember, when you allow an offensive coordinator who was getting head coach interviews last year to start building their own staff, they're building a staff that are going to leave with them, right? Yep. So that's the other risk. There are some politics at play here, but I do agree. I think you need to protect yourself. I think you need to protect yourself on the offensive side of the football. Does that mean that you fire Brady? No, I don't think it does. But Callahan, I think, is a great call out because there's no reason not to have an extra set of eyes here to say, hey, we're going to bring in for the rest of the season. If you get an OC offer, take it, just take it. No commitment here, but we're going to bring you in and let's see what this looks like. And I think if you're Callahan, you go, wait, hold on. So I get to work with Joe Burrow and now I get to go work with Josh Allen. Why wouldn't you jump at that opportunity?
Yeah, and maybe from a perspective of like, what do we need to change? Like maybe a guy like Callahan, maybe Brady doesn't need to come down out of the box. Like maybe there's a reason that he's in the box. I mean, there's plenty of there's a number of reasons. Sometimes coaches just coach better from the box. They don't do well down on the field. They're too much of a vibes guy and not enough of like a Josh that was a stupid throw guy, right? Like. Maybe Callahan's the guy that's down on the sidelines that Josh talks to when he comes back to the sideline and grabs the tablet, right? Like maybe Callahan's the one sitting next to him instead of Mitch Trubisky. Like those little things can sometimes start to add up a little bit.
All right. Quick question for the chat without Googling it, chat, because there's, a bunch of you in here. Name the Bills' current quarterbacks coach in the chat without Googling it. By the way, he was named the quarterbacks coach in February of 2024. So we are long past the year mark here. If you know the quarterbacks coach of the Bills, go ahead and put it in the chat. I think when, you start looking at accountability, again, like quarterbacks coach is there to do that kind of stuff, right? That's what Brady was there to do, was there to kind of translate. If you watch, Josh sitting on the sideline, it's Josh and biscuits. Yep. That's who's there, right? You got to have a better staff than that, right? You have to. My wife asked me, at what point does Josh just start calling his own plays? And I was like, man, we're not. That's never going to happen. I was like, that's never.
I think it's nice to. I mean, it's tongue in cheek to say something like that, but I think that's a whole other level of like Brady wasn't calling his own plays.
No,
right? Like Peyton Manning wasn't calling his own play. Like
that's right.
Right, like they'd check out, or they'd get a call into their headset and just be like, I'm not running that, and just call their own play in the moment, right? Like game flow type of stuff. Like I know this one play. They're not calling a game, right? Like that's a whole nother level of big brain, type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think, fans are endured with the cake on, right? Like that's, you go back to the days of the hurry up offense, right? And, Kelly called a lot of his own stuff in those instances, but they ran packages, right?
So he had a set. he had set plays within the package that he
Correct.
could run, right? Like he wasn't
Right.
calling,
Exactly.
he wasn't digging deep in the old playbook, drawing plays in the sand like you're in the backyard. So, I think, yeah, I mean, it's something's got to give, right? Like something's got to give. And the worst thing, I mean, from a fan perspective, this would be the best thing. But I think the worst thing right now would be this to go the direction that things went last year with after. Because remember, I'll say it for those who joined late. Like this is the Ravens Texans string of last year, right? They started 3-0. They lost those 2 games in really ugly fashion. They rattled off a bunch of wins. They went to the playoffs. They did well in the playoffs, right? Like,
Yeah.
But that team was better than the team they have this year. Like last year's team is a better football team than they were last year, or than they are this year. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think this team is as talented as they were last year.
I agree with that.
Age perspective, a health perspective, a skill perspective, like up and down. I think that was a more talented football team. So rattling off some wins here coming out of the bye, and let's not get it twisted, right? Like they could come out of the bye and they could drop 50 on Carolina. Like Carolina's not a great football team right now, but then they've got a decent stretch, right? Like they've got the Chiefs, then they've got the Dolphins, then they've got the Bucks, then they got the Texans, and then the Steelers. Like that, this is not the way this football team is playing. Like it's a tough stretch coming up. You're lucky you get the 2 toughest games at home. You get the Chiefs and the Bucks at home. But you could very well be, and you're already in second place in the division after tonight.
Yep.
Don't forget that too. Like the Patriots are first in the division for the first time since 2019.
Yep.
Like you
earned that.
Mode.
You earned every second of that is your fault.
Absolutely.
Right. Every second of that is your fault.
You are in panic mode. I think right now if you're Buffalo.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is where again, like people, I think a lot of detractors are going to hear this on social media, right? People are saying, well, what about your MVP now? Right? Like, what about the MVP now? The fact of the matter is, the Bills last year traded for a number 1 wide receiver who didn't play like a number 1 wide receiver, right? You had a rookie, Keon Coleman, like that. For some reason, not much really did change on the offense, though, right? Like you remove Amari, right? What else changed?
Yeah,
really think about it. What else changed on the offense?
You got rid of Mac Hollins, and you brought in Josh Palmer.
Yeah, right. And I think the crazy thing is that one splash Mac Hollins play a game made a big difference. And then people will go back and say, well, I like Kincaid. Buffalo drafted Kincaid because they thought they needed a tight end to be a dynamic difference maker. I honestly don't think Kincaid changes the way this game went at all.
Yep.
I just don't see it. Like you get a Dawson Knox touchdown early in the game. I don't even know if a tight end got targeted the rest of the game.
No.
And they were on the field the whole time.
Yeah.
They were running jumbo packages the whole night. I saw so much Jackson Hawes, and I don't even think he got a target. I'll double check, but I don't even think he did.
No. And here we go, like already. Like so Spencer Brown in the locker room after the game. Quote, I think it's pretty obvious that we were having a tough time finding something that worked.
Yeah.
That's on your play caller, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not him saying we didn't execute. Like that he said the quiet part out loud. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not the player's responsibility to find something that works.
No. It is not.
So that's where we are with this offense. Like Spencer Brown, okay, open the floodgates. Let's start to look into what some of these other guys are saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then the other tweet that I found interesting, and it just kind of goes back to what we were talking about, right? Like Keon Coleman, through his last 5 games, is 125 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Lad McConkey had 100 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs just dropped 146 yards on you a week ago. And last week, Xavier Worthy had 121 all-purpose yards. Like,
mm-hmm.
So again, we go back to Bean. Like, you're betting on the wrong horses, man. And someone's got to be held accountable for that because you say it all the time at work when you're the boss. Like, if it's going to be you or me, it's not going to be me. So he better figure somebody out.
And, the Josh interception at the end of the game, right? I watched the behind the quarterback camera, and what do I see? I see 3 Bills players standing in the same corner of the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Inexcusable. And then one of them is Ty Johnson. Like, no offense to Ty Johnson. No offense. But you need to start getting more meaningful snaps for James Cook. Please, for the love of God. When you have to have a play, you cannot take your best offensive player off the field anymore. You cannot take Cook off the field anymore. If it's 2nd and 3, take Cook off the field. That's a Ray Davis snap right there, baby.
Sure.
That's a Ty Johnson snap. It's 3rd and 3. James Cook better be on the damn field. Stop taking your most potent offensive weapon besides 17 off the field. Playing 65% of snaps. This is
week in and week out, right?
Yeah,
like we just watched.
I can't do it.
Same game. Like Bijan Robinson. Look how they used him. Cook is not in the same stratosphere as Bijan Robinson, right? Like, don't get it twisted.
Right.
But that's your guy, and that's their guy. And the only time that Tyler Algier saw touches was 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1 when they knew they were going for it on 4th. Like, he took that 21-yard carry, first drive of the game into the end zone, but you're not counting on him taking that ball 21 yards out, right? Like,
right.
So, I mean, it's just I don't, and again, like, at what point does the head coach start yelling at people in the building? Why is Cook not on the field? Why? Or grab him and send him out there himself? Like, these guys can talk to each other. Like, McDermott's got a headset on. He's talking to Brady. He's talking to Babbage. Like, he's talking to everybody. So why isn't this stuff getting said during the game? Yeah. And if it is, why aren't they listening? Like, we're back to that again.
Imagine for a moment, right? I know hindsight is 2020. We're coming up on time here, Ryan. But imagine for a moment McDermott calls timeout when the Elijah Moore reverse or the Elijah Moore jet sweep comes in, right? I guess that's a jet sweep. I guess it is. Or is it a reverse? I suppose that's a reverse.
Yeah.
Imagine he calls a timeout there. And then we have to hear Ryan Lasel complain about, about Sean McDermott timeout usage, right? But that was a had to have. That's a have to have moment. That's a have to have moment when you're an accountable coach and you say, what the fuck are we doing here? Timeout. Are you going to score? Unless you're going to score on that play running that, right? Unless you're going to score, don't run it. Don't run it.
Yeah.
Because it's a negative yardage play. Yeah. It is going to it's going to be a score or a negative yardage play. Then do it on 2nd and 1. Like, what are we doing here?
Or you're going for it on 4th. Like, but to me, like that's.
I think they had that mentality, Ryan. I think they were going to, but you can't
but,
call that. No. You can't call that because it's a negative yardage play. Yeah. If that play gets smoked out, it's a negative yardage play.
And it's not like it was the first quarter, right? Or even the second quarter. Like, that was a gotta have it first down. Yeah. So you line it up, you get behind Josh, and you just twice just shove him forward. And I know we're coming up on time, but so for those of you in the chat, like, who maybe haven't heard me on Rock Power Report, like, talk about this, the question was, who was it? Somebody put in here, DF forever. Serious question. When does ownership get ticked off? I'm in the camp that I think it's a bold assumption to think that Terry Pagula is anything other than happy to be here. Like, there's a difference. I talked about this on Rock Power Report. There is a difference between owning a football team because you're rich and owning a football team, like, being rich because you own a football team, right? Like, Terry Pagula is not rich for any other reason other than owning the Buffalo Bills. He has shown no willingness to make, after making his grand statement when he bought the Sabres of, we are about winning a Stanley Cup. If I need more money, I'll drill another well. Like, all of the things. Since then, twice in the time he's owned the Sabres have they had a payroll over 24th in the NHL. And they immediately traded the 2 players that caused that, which was Eichel and O'Reilly. So, like, my limited Sabres knowledge goes that far. So when you think about that, what's different about the way he's running the Buffalo Bills other than he fell somehow ass backwards into Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, who somehow figured out that Josh Allen is a unicorn and like hit on the exception to the rule. Like there's no indication that this is going to end at the hands of Terry Pagula. So like I don't know what the solution is. I don't know like how many times they're going to have to lose before somebody gets upset. I don't know if it's Josh is going to have to go to Terry and say it's me or them. Like I don't know what the litmus test is, but there's no indication to me that Terry Pagula is going to watch a game on Sunday or Monday and be so fed up that on Tuesday he's gonna start making heads roll. Like that just it's not the owner. It's not the owner he is, right? And like I think Josh wants to win. I think Josh really cares about winning. I also think that it sounds to me like this summer has really put a lot of things in perspective for Josh in terms of like what's really important. You know, he makes these comments around like the most important thing in his world is his wife. Like, cool, it's supposed to happen when you get married, right? Like,
yeah,
but that's not what he would have said last year or even 2 years ago, right? And then the other thing was like, what's one thing that being married has taught you? And his response was, maybe I'm more than a football player. Like things change, right? Like priorities change. So I'm not sure that Josh is even to the point where he's ever going to go to anybody and be like, hey guys, like can we blow this up? Like can we fix something? I want to go somewhere else and play. I think Josh is just going to be a golden retriever for the rest of his career. Like he's just going to be the dude that just goes out and plays. Whatever you give him, he's going to go out and do it, and he's going to be.
He's going to be a leader. He's going to be the best teammate, but he can't be a general manager at the same time. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, at best, he's going to be Phillip Rivers for the Chargers, right? Like he's just going to go out and be the good soldier, and he's going to be a gunslinger. He's going to throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, and he's not going to be the reason you lose very many football games. He's going to be the reason you win a lot of them, but he's never going to be the reason that you get over the top because he's in the back playing politics and you know lobbying like a Peyton Manning would or a Tom Brady would.
So I think it's fascinating to me that there's such a dichotomy of different types of owners because a lot of people week one were like really thrown by Carly Ursay-Gordon, the inherited owner of the Colts, because she's sitting there with a headset on, listening to the game, taking notes. And people are like thrown by that. I think people forget that she was like representing the Colts at league meetings since 2004. She's got her doctorate in clinical psychology. She's been vice president of that team since 2008. Like this is somebody who was involved in that organization for a very, very, very long time and very much understands what it takes to have meaningful success from a personnel standpoint. She's sitting there with the headset on because she's like, listen, I own it. I need to know how it works and what's going on with the Colts. Accountability, and they're winning. Now, mind you, right? She inherited the team at a time where she didn't have to make personnel decisions of hiring a coach and all that, right? She inherited that team when that structure was already there. As from an ownership level, but the fact of the matter is she's no dummy. She's engaged, right, in that football organization. And I don't know if Terry Pagula would know what was happening if you put a headset on. He strikes me very much as this is pretty neat. Listen to this.
We saw him be that on Hard Knocks. Like that's exactly what he was on Hard Knocks. Exactly. I think right, wrong, or indifferent. Like I'm not a Terry Pagula guy. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I think what you see Terry Pagula on screen as is Terry Pagula. I think he's a good old boy who just happened to own some oil wells and got enough money to buy himself a football franchise, and he's again. I think he's happy to be here, and that's an issue for me from an ownership perspective because at a certain point heads have to roll. Like there has to be accountability. And we got to stop pretending like what we've seen thus far in the McDermott coaching regime has been accountability because there's been no accountability thus far. Like he's not getting rid of people. Like freezing out Leslie Frazier, like by all accounts, he was the one that took over play calling in 13 seconds. So why is Leslie Frazier catching all this shit for what happened with that Kansas City Chiefs game, right? Like by all accounts, there was confusion on the field, according to players, confusion on the field when it came to 13 seconds in terms of what Bass was supposed to do with that kickoff. Why is anyone else getting blamed from that other than the head coach? Like, those are head coach moments, right?
Yeah.
Like, here we are. So, an owner, Jerry Jones, right, wrong, or indifferent, love him or hate him, like, I don't know that McDermott would survive a subpar season this year under a Jerry Jones. Like,
probably not. No. Yeah, probably not.
I mean, he got rid of Mike McCarthy. They were a game under 500 last year without their starting quarterback, and he still fired Mike McCarthy. Like,
yeah, you had a reason, right? Like, you had a reason. Look at the playoff success that Mike McCarthy had for the Dallas Cowboys, right? You finally had your reason. That was it.
Yep.
And sometimes you just have to make a fire because you just have to make a fire. Callahan, I think they looked at it and said, well, he's solely relying on the athleticism of Joe Burrow. Like, what else you got at that quarterback position? Like, I don't blame the guy. Like, I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Callahan, right? Like, they were 3-14 last year. And they were 1-5 to start this year. Right? So, like, he was 4-19 in his career as the head coach. Like, some guys are just not head coaches. Some guys are just coordinators. And there's nothing wrong with that. Fangs, Spags, like, there's plenty of dudes out there. Brian Flores, like, lots of dudes out there making great careers being coordinators. Wade Phillips.
Yeah, like, Wade Phillips is a great example of that.
There's no shame in that game, man. And if Brian Callahan wants to dial it back and he wants to run it back one more time as a head coaching opportunity, there's a unicorn that needs someone to call plays for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. But you gotta the fact that there was a play that they physically called where Keon Coleman runs a quick little in and then flips it to Ty Johnson. The fact that that's a play call on a team that's supposed to be beaten. Yeah, on a team that's supposed to be beating people by 30 points.
Yeah.
That is a scary notion to me. That's a scary
everyone
notion.
has the hook and ladder in their playbook for, like, you're down 7
in case of emergencies.
Timeouts. Yeah, like 3 seconds left, no timeouts, and you can't Hail Mary it, but still, I mean,
it's sobering to see it, dude. It's just sobering to see it. I wish I didn't.
And Corey brings up the McDermott glasses. Yeah, he was wearing glasses, man. Like, he was letting them boys know that he was serious about cleaning things up, and he had his spectacles on to make sure that they were cleaning things up. So,
not even his glasses could have personality. Isn't that amazing?
Clear lenses.
That's what I mean. Clear lenses,
like
clear frames,
glasses that you buy off of Amazon.
Oh my God.
He's making whatever $1 million a year, and those are the glasses he trots out there.
Yeah, lovely. It looks like he got him off a rack at CVS. Great job, Sean. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Paul from Hashtag Sports. We want to thank our sponsor, Mr. Rogers Homes. Sean Rogers, a Buffalonian selling homes in Arizona. If you are looking for hot weather, the Cardinals aren't much better right now. But if you're looking for another home or a place to call home, check out Arizona's real estate market with Mr. Rogers Homes. Also check out his YouTube channel to keep up on tips for buying your first home or buying a rental property. Thanks again, everybody. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the bye week. I hope you all can sleep tonight. I don't have much else to say about that. I hope you all sleep. And you can wash this off tomorrow as we brought in a new day just after midnight here, East Coast time. So thanks again, everybody. I'm Paul. That's Ryan. And we've been Hashtag Sports. Have a good one.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, Realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!